Okay, gents, here is the holiday homework. So just having a very quick little look here, we've got, this is just on the Canvas page, scrolling down, notification for the exam practice. And we come along to the module called Major Design Project. This is all our little headings for our project, which you're going to be really familiar with by now. We should be up to criteria to evaluate success. You'll notice that I started the year with evaluation, evidence of creativity. So that's where we're going to kick off with the holiday homework. So if we click on that link there, it'll take us to this page, and it'll give us some information about, demonstrates a substantial application of creativity. Click on this and read the textbook. So if we go to chapter 18, this is just a little recap of the lesson that we did in class, and you've also done a toolkit activity on this. So there's creativity and design, demonstrating creativity, developing ideas. As you read through this too, it will talk about in your major project, you should be doing this and that. Having a look at an example of evidence of creativity, we've got ideas generation. So it's just making sure that we demonstrate substantial application of creativity. So this student here has done a PMI, looking at some existing products. They've had some ideas generation from that, lots of annotations which are really easy to read. They've got some conclusions on here about how they're going to, the conclusions they've gathered from their PMI and creating from that. Then they've come up with some designs, so 3 designs here, really clearly illustrating through sketching and annotations about how it might work. From that, they've got some conclusions, and then they've gone through and they've actually gone in more depth to go through and model each one of their ideas, just using some rough material. Then they've gone in depth where they've done the exploration of existing ideas, and again, PMI, improvements to the design and the application. You can see you do have to go into a fair amount of depth. Further ideas generation. So that whole idea of substantial creativity in the development of your major project, it is a fair bit. So that's that one. Going back to our main page, we've got consideration of design factors. That's another area we can look at. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to here. So analyzes a range of design factors relevant to the product, system or environment and applies them. So just clicking on the textbook link, it's going to take us to here, chapter 13. So factors affecting the design of your major project. So here's the factors affecting design, and when you have a little read through, it will actually just talk about there's a range of factors that are going to impact positively or negatively on your major project. So we need to put that in there as well. And then one last one that we could do over the holidays, we've got appropriate research and experimentation. So when we have a look at that, there's a really good multimedia here. Click on watch this student. She explains her major project really well. And then we click on this and it takes us to her folio. And so she's put her research and experimentation together, which I really strongly recommend. So she's got here for research, research into canvas, research into leather, experimentation. So she's got an introduction in order to decide what material I will use for the exterior of my project. I'm going to look at the 2 top options from my target market research. So she's linking directly back to what she set out in the beginning of the portfolio. So we should see links back all the time. Then there's a method. So just going through and just putting a little bit of a method. Then she's got the results, and the criteria should link to your criteria to evaluate success. So that should again link back to what we did at the beginning. We've got an evaluation of the experiment, and then we've also got an application of conclusion. So this is how we're going to link this back to our major project. She goes on further to look at purchasing material. She gets some advice from some experts. She then talks about how she's going to apply the conclusion she's gathered from that. And then she's looked at, look, I visited New South Wales Leather and Botany, looked at different thicknesses, moved around the warehouse, filled different textures. So really in-depth research into the materials. She goes through, and there's research experimentation. So solar panels as well, same kind of thing. Some more experimentations into panel strength, research and experimentations of tools. So she's looked at soldering irons. Another one on tools, she's looked at the sewing machine. She's looked at the laser cutter. So I would expect that you'd have at least 5 experiments for this, and you can see the amount of detail that this particular student has gone into. And the other thing that I just want to draw to your attention just before I finish is if we go to, just quickly, just having a very quick look at this document here that we're all very familiar with at this point, just scrolling down. Use this to structure it. So look at this for your major headings and your minor headings. So just getting to the point where we need to be. So evidence of creativity. That'll be your major heading. Then we're going to have our subheadings coming off that, and then we're going to just make sure that you're having a look at what needs to go underneath each one of those headings. Then we've got our consideration of design factors relevant to our major project, so having a look there using the textbook, and then appropriate research experimentation for tools and equipment. We can go through. There's a structure here that you can use, or a scaffold for creating your experiments. This applications of inclusions I think is really important, and the layout that I just showed you before I think is a really successful way of doing it. It's not the only way of doing it, but it certainly gives you something to work on. So that is heaps of work for you to do over the holidays.